The LOI pod on Off the Ball. Catch live and exclusive national radio commentary of the Men's League of Ireland Premier Division on Off the Ball all season.
Yes, welcome to this week's LOI pod. I'm Stephen Doyle, and here's what happened on Off the Ball last Friday.
Dawson the boy, you would think, with the right foot. He does hit it. It's into the top corner. It's a goal for Bohemians.
What a finish.
That is a sensational free kick from the best player at Bohemian Football Club. Dawson the boy goes over to the touchline. He's surrounded by teammates to celebrate the goal that's broken the deadlock here at the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium in the 65th minute. It's Derry City 0, Bohemians 1. A wonder free kick from Dawson the boy. 7.5 minutes have been played of the 7 minutes added on. It's into the box. It's headed away by Bohemians. Kevin White gets in the ball here. He's going to hit a shot. Pendarty hits the shot. It's blocked away, and there is the full-time whistle blown by the referee, Mark Lynch. All 3 points are going back to Dublin tonight. Derry City have been beaten.
Yes, I was up at the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium with Peter Hutton for Derry City's defeat to Bohemians. Shelbourne drew 1-1 with Galway. It was all scoreless between Waterford and Sligo Rovers. Also 1-1 at the Dublin Derby up in Oriel Park, and Tallaght Stadium saw Shamrock Rovers beat St Patrick's Athletic by 2-0. And of course there was a game on a Monday night as well, that rescheduled match from the opening night, Shamrock Rovers drawing with 10-man Dundalk 1-1. So hello Vinny, Perth, hello Gareth, McGlynn. Lots to discuss ahead of this weekend's round of matches. We have a couple more emailers as well contacting the podcast this week for our new Ask the Expert slot, so we'll have a look at those later. First to our live and exclusive SSE Electricity Men's Premier Division match on Off the Ball this Friday. Jonathan Higgins will be with yourself, Vinny, at Dalymount Park this Friday night. The Dublin Derby. Of course, the big Dublin Derby between Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers from 7 o'clock on Off the Ball.
It's not that big, really.
Yes, well, Brian Kerr doesn't think it's that big. Vinny, what do you think?
It's the biggest game. It's the biggest game in Irish football, isn't it, Steve? Well, let's call a spade a spade. Like
Brian just joshing with me, of course.
Yeah, we can all pretend if we want, but it is it's the biggest game in Irish football, and everything that comes around it. It's generally, once it's peaceful outside the stadiums and all that stuff, it's a joy to see it happening. So really looking forward to that game.
Yeah.
Big test for both teams. The Bohs have started the season really well. Rovers obviously had the games called off. So big test for both teams. And I think we find out, look, the derbies, everything can happen and anything can happen in them. But we'll find out a little bit more about them two teams come Friday night.
Yeah, we certainly will. It is live and Off the Ball from 7 o'clock on Friday night. The match kicks off at 7:45. You can tune in on News Talk 106 to 108 FM and also on the Go Loud app. So let's start off with Bohemians versus Shamrock Rovers. Gareth, McGlynn, anything you saw in that Derry City performance to show that Bohemians could beat Shamrock Rovers this Friday night?
Well, it was a smash and grab, Steve-O, up in the Brandywell. Let's call a spade a spade. Both.
I tell you, he's already off.
There's loads. I mean, I was watching the game, did it for LOI TV, and everybody was kind of getting into me afterwards about how much I was complimenting Bohs and not Derry. It was just a really good professional performance by Bohs. Really impressed. I always felt the last 4 or 5 years Bohs have been technically very good passing, build-up play, but the back four and the back five were absolutely unbelievable. Mullen at left back was incredible. Power right back, the two centre halves. They looked, which I've never seen Bohs doing this, even in the last 3 or 4 years. They looked very comfortable with leading 1-0. Now, that might be the fact that Derry weren't technically or tactically astute enough to break them down. But bar the ricochet in midfield, Duffy going down the left, passing into Josh Thomas, and him missing a sitter, Derry didn't look as if they were going to create very much, but very impressed with Bohs. Really looking forward to this game on Friday night. I mean, it's the Devoy and Healy battle in the centre of midfield. Devoy again getting the winner, masterclass, and I really, really like Flores in that 6. I know we talked about it before. It's a position that for me the Bohs haven't got right, But Flores in that position on Friday night was absolutely outstanding. And to be honest with you, in the game, probably overshadowed Devoy. He was that good. Devoy will get all the plaudits, got the winner. Tierney got the free kick. I don't know how Douglas Taylor is. I think it was precautionary because of the pitch. Obviously, Bohs would love him back for this game, home against Rovers. But no, I think it's Bohs are probably in a better position now. You haven't had that extra game, and are probably up and running now and really looking forward to this game. And Rovers are probably a couple of games shy of being ready.
I want to pick up on Flores with you, Vinny, in just a second. Gareth, just a couple of things that Alan Reynolds did say to me after the match was the Douglas James Taylor thing. It was a little issue that he had with his knee. He said they could play him, but they didn't want to chance it, especially with the Rovers game coming up. So the other thing I noticed, and I said it to Reynolds, that the first half was shocking from both sides with regard to holding on to possession. Both sets of players were really guilty of just passing the ball away to the opposition team. I just think maybe, was that the pitch, do you think, Gareth, or was it still kind of early season rustiness from both sides? What did you make of it?
No, I just thought it was Derry putting a bit of pressure on Bohs. I mean, the first 15 minutes was quite good from Derry. It's something that I've been crying out for the last 2 weeks, of Derry at home in front of the crowd. Go and press the opposition and put a bit of pressure on them, win a few corners, free kicks, throw-ins high up the pitch, instead of sitting back and waiting for something to happen. So I actually liked it from Derry. I think it was just the intensity. Listen, Derry are all of a sudden blaming the pitch now. There was nothing wrong with the pitch in the last 10 games at home towards the end of last season when they were winning every week. The pitch is the pitch, and it was the same for both squads. There's technical players on both sides. It wasn't the pitch, it was the intensity of both teams. Bohs then got, after about 14, 15 minutes, got a hold of the game. Flores and Devoy started to play. They got the ball down, and then they were very comfortable, and there was nothing wrong with the pitch then. It was just the intensity of Derry. I wouldn't go into too much detail. Listen, the pitch is not great. I'm not saying that. And looking at the LOI Derby, the pitch that's going to be in the Brandywell soon will be far superior. But no, the game was much better then after about 20 minutes.
Yeah, Vinny, just on Flores, because you obviously know him well. He's back in his natural position, isn't he, really? And probably, as Gareth says, being overshadowed by the fact that Dustin Devoy is the standout man, not just in the Bohs team, but probably in the league.
Yeah, Jordan is a natural. That's where he's played most of his football. And for some of us, it's a bit strange seeing him playing at left back, but he's done very well there, or left side of a back three at different stages. But he is a central midfielder. That's where he played a lot of his football as a kid in and around Wigan, and when he was trying to break through at Wigan. So I obviously signed him from Wigan at the time. So that was, for me, that's what we signed him as. Picked up a bit of injuries and didn't settle for the first while, but once he settled, particularly those lefties, anyone that is in around lefties when he's got a real sweet strike. He's really good passing range. We see that from the fullback position. The one question I have about Jordan playing in midfield is the intensity levels at different stages. But once you've got numbers in there, he'll be fine. Because once you get him on the ball, he's a real threat. He can, as I said, he can spray the ball. He's got a ferocious shot on him as well. So you get the sense he's become a bit of a leader around that dressing room over the last little while. Not something I would associate him with at the time, and that was mainly down to he was the young lad, or not young lad, but the fresh lad in with a lot of experienced players. But it's good to see him develop that side of it as well. So yeah, I just love what he's done. You often say, great lad, but Jordan was a great lad, good family, loves his rugby league, all the family do, and no, I'm delighted to see him do so well. He's important for what they're trying to do. Mullen and Power done really well at fullback. They need to play people in their natural positions and keep it simple. We spoke about keeping it simple for Bohs last week, and playing people in their natural positions is part of that. So the other interesting thing about that midfield is where Diallo hasn't played this season. Has he, Steve O'Rourke?
He was on the bench on Friday.
That was a big sign in front of myself. Yeah, and he's been injured. But I felt that was a big sign for them. And the fact they haven't really needed him yet and look good. Like, the strength and depth on Bohs' bench, say it quietly, is very, very good in terms of what they have. Anna McDonald's been really important for them at different stages. And, Diallo, as we touched on, Niall Morahan, Parsons does well for them. James Taylor, obviously, the other night. So they've got a bit of strength and depth, and people are starting to stand up and notice them. So that's why this week's a huge game for them.
Is it title challenging, strength and depth, Vinny?
Yeah, it is. It is. We might feel the shorter one or two a little bit. I'm concerned around the back, but the back four started the season brilliantly. I don't know whether that will last over a season. We're going to find out. But the back four started brilliantly in terms of Hickey has looked a natural centre half. So best of luck to him. Sam Todd we do like as well. Mullen Power, as Gareth said, done really well for them. We'll see how that goes over the next few weeks. But at the moment, they're as good as anybody in the league in terms of the performances. We're very early, Steve, so let's see. Yeah. But going forward, they're as good as everybody in the league, or anybody.
Yeah, we won't be making any big calls until maybe 10, 12 games. Yes, sorry, Gareth.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't believe how solid they looked. Honestly, it was a chalk and cheese. We talked about it last week, myself and Vinny. We were at was it 4-4, Vinny, or was it 4-3 in Daily Mount?
4-3.
4-3. It was Bohs were just completely disorganised. They were completely out of shape whenever in the transition. But the other night, they just sat so comfortably with Flores in front of the back four. The back four didn't really get forward as much. They pick and choose their times really well, especially Mullen on the left-hand side. But when Derry had the ball, they weren't moving it quick enough, but Bohs looked really comfortable. I think Patrick Hickey is going to be the sign of the season. Early shout. I think he's been unbelievable in the first few games.
Yeah, it's funny because I did say to Reynolds in the post-match interview that you look a lot more solid defending set pieces. I kind of said that, and he came back saying, well, like we did have a good defence last year. And when I went back and checked the records, like Bohs conceded 39 goals last season, which is the same that Derry conceded in second place. Shells 37, Rovers 33. So they're only 6 more than Shamrock Rovers. Like if they can close that gap this season, you'd have to feel that really puts them in a good place to challenge. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and the other side of Patrick Hickey and Sam Todd, and I think it's something Derry have been lacking, and now they have with Patrick McClean, is centre halves that can score goals. The two boys know where the net is, Sam Todd and Hickey. So he hit the crossbar on Friday night. Hickey did from a corner. If he can get 4 or 5 goals, that's going to turn into points as well.
Absolutely. Looking at Shamrock Rovers, Vinny, you were there at Tallaght Stadium on Monday night after a very, I suppose, dominant, convincing win against St Patrick's Athletic, a 2-0 win on the Friday. What did you make of the Monday performance then against Dundalk?
Yeah, there's a mind that you can win your league on the Monday night if you get things right. So they made 8 changes, I think, from the team that beat Patch. And I don't know, I haven't seen Bradley's comments after the game, but I'd like to think he was disappointed in the performance because it wasn't good. It was a little bit lethargic and slow at times, and not something you'd associate with Shamrock Rovers. A lot of the changes, and that happens sometimes when you make too many changes as well, to be fair. Like, I like to look at Trevor Clark. He's been out of favour, different bits, a lot of injuries over the last little while. He did give them something at times, but it was just, like, Michael Noonan had a great chance. That aside, it wasn't hard work for Dundalk to stay in the game, and even most disappointingly, when they went down to 10 men, it wasn't difficult. They seem to have a lot of players. They've signed a lot of really good players, like Subawali. That position of left wing back, if you go back, maybe Neil Ferrugia is a different example of it, but that position of left wing back, Ronan Finn, for argument's sake, or right wing back, should I say, Ronan Finn played that for argument's sake a lot. And at times, Ronan would be the highest player up the pitch. When Sean Gannon went there as a marauding fullback, it didn't really suit him either because he had to take his first touch backwards, where Subawali, Gannon, them type of players like the ball in front of him. Subawali looks potential head of a good right wing back. But at times he was almost in the centre forward position, so he's taken the ball nearly with back to goal. So a couple of players have to learn how to understand the system that Rovers do, because I don't see them over changing that system, been doing it for years and years and years. So there's a bit of learning in that group, and that's why I use Finner as the great example. Finner suited that system as a right wing back, where he join in as an extra midfielder in the box and all of that stuff. So they want their wing backs to do a certain thing. So there's a lot of learning in that group, and at times Lee Gray
at different stages last season was a little bit ring rusty. They looked a little bit ring rusty at different stages, and obviously McGinty made a huge mistake. But Dundalk were deserved
that point. Absolutely deserved the point, and so Rovers didn't put them to bed. So I'd be disappointed from Shamrock Rovers' point of view.
Vinny, something with your sound there. Did you press a button there? Something changed with your sound, but it had sounded a little bit better there actually for a moment. I don't know if you can do that again. Gareth, just on Shamrock Rovers, like Matt Healy is the man who kind of orchestrates things in midfield. I'm sure Stephen Bradley might be expecting a bit of a what would you say, an assault on him from the Bohemians midfield this Friday night. How does he counteract that, do you think?
The same way as he does all the time. I mean, he's played it at a high level, and the same way someone like Doyle would. They've just got the IQ to be able to do it. If someone's pressing them high, they'll go for the second pass. They're just that good. It's like the old question: what do you do with a really good player? Do you try and stop him, or do you try and stop all the other players receiving the ball from that player? And the problem with Shamrock, Bohs will have this Friday, is there's that many players. Do you go and concentrate on Healy when Jack Byrne and Burke and Noonan and all these players? It's a really difficult one. I think Reynolds has done this throughout his career, is he won't worry too much about Shamrock Rovers. I think Vinny touched on it. You know exactly what you're going to get. You know the formation, the types of players. It's just really difficult to stop because the players that they have are some of the best players in the league. But Bohemians are getting there. I mean, I would love to put the two teams side by side and make an 11 out of it. It'll be interesting now how many players you pick from Rovers and how many players you pick from Bohs, because Bohs are getting there with the squad, the depth, the strength. We mentioned Diallo there now. I mean, Diallo, Devoy and Flores as your six or your two sitting midfielders, that's great options. So listen, you don't concentrate. I don't think Reynolds will. I don't think he'll concentrate too much on one player, but he'll concentrate on his own team, I would imagine.
Do you know what's fascinating about this one, Steve-O, is for too long, I think teams tactically went up. I remember Derry doing it in particular in big games and actually matching up Rovers. And what Dundalk taught people a lesson, and other people have done it at different stages, is Dundalk stuck to their way of playing. And they go man for man at different stages. Two centre-halves will follow people in. They're brave, and the way Kilduff has them set up, really brave. I'm not suggesting that that's a template for beating Rovers, because it's not. If you keep doing the same things, they'll eventually beat you. But what Bohs have to do is, and this is the interesting part, does he change things up, or do you just do what's working for them and keeping it simple, their way of playing? Because too many teams go and match Rovers up and overthink it a little bit. Where when I look at the game the other night, Dundalk's two fullbacks, Horgan, huge joy in the wide areas, and he kept doing the simple things, and the way they started the season, and they've done everything the simple way. So it's a real lesson for people to, for me, don't overcomplicate it. Rovers are the best team, yes, but too many teams have matched them up, and they've given the advantage to Rovers because they know that system better than everybody else.
Vinny,
I think momentum, Steve-O, as well, going into this match. Bohs have momentum. I mean, going away, obviously, the Aviva, I thought they were the better team. They were by far the better team in the Brandywell on Friday night, and they thrashed Sligo. So they will be pretty confident. It's probably a good time to get Rovers. As we can see with Friday, Monday, Rovers haven't got their best team out in the pitch all together yet. We might see that on Friday night. Let's hope that they do. But there's a few players that need a bit of time in that Rovers team. So Bohs might think it's a good time to get them. Yeah.
The only thing is, meant to be arse, Gareth, come to Derby. Like, everything's out the window. I mean, one team could win 3-0 for no reason. And
it still affects players, if any. Jeez, I know. You got to. If you were battered 3 or 4-0 the week before, you're trying to tell me it doesn't affect the players psychologically?
No, it helps you. But I'm just saying, in that derby, the maddest things have happened. It's nearly many years ago from the maddest one of them all, Steve-O, in Santry Stadium.
25.
You know that.
Yeah.
25. The mad things happened at that derby, and that's what makes it great. Like, you could be bottom of the table, whether it's Rovers or Bohs, could be bottom of the table, 10 points adrift of everyone, and go and win the Derby 2-3-0, because that's what it does. It's mad. It's just mad.
I think, though, the other thing as well with Rovers is that there's players in that Rovers team, the likes of Roberto Lopez, Graham Burke, Jack Byrne. These are their games that it's the reason they get up in the morning is for matches like this, and they are just going to be on it. Like, there's nothing Graham Burke likes more than scoring and going off and celebrating in front of the Jolie stand. So, I think both sides are going to be up for this, and I certainly wouldn't be calling it. Just one more thing on the game, Vinny, before we move on. Young Adam Brennan, what have you made of him? And is this game maybe just a game too big for him at this stage of his career?
No, because particularly, I think what you might find with him is he might have a run of games over the next few weeks where he's sensational, and then he might have a little drop off because of the level he's come at. So everything to him now is fresh. So remember, he played his football at UCD. He hasn't experienced the big nights. The Derby's going to be used to him. So for me, I just let him loose. I think they're a better team when he's playing at the moment. I'd let him loose, let him go. He's just a brilliant dribbler of the ball, that close control. He's got a good bit of strength in him as well for a young boy. He can hold people off. When he runs at you in the box, he's not, I don't mean this in a cheating way, he's almost looking for you to commit a foul against him. And I don't mean he's playing on, the way Grealish would play on the fouls or whatever. He's not doing any of that. Nothing is wrong with it. His close control is so good at the ball, where he's able to dink and drop shoulders, that he's attracting attention and little lazy legs. I think he'll end up winning a lot of justified penalties. He's a really, really talented footballer. I do expect a drop off at some stage. Don't know when that'll be, but for now, when you're in that form he's in, a couple of things the other night he needs to tidy up. But his debut was exceptional. If I was Shamrock Rovers, I'd start him and say, "Go and enjoy it, kiddo. What a opportunity for you." And when you're that young, people think, you need a bit of experience for that game. You do. Do you have enough experience right in the middle of the pitch? Sometimes you need somebody with a little bit of brilliance, and he looks like he has that now, and really excited to see him developed at Rovers.
Cannot wait. Well, we're watching Shamrock Rovers go to Bohemians at Tallaght Stadium on Friday night. Gareth McGlynn, you'll be watching Derry City versus Waterford up the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium. It's the third of the 4 opening home games for the Candy Stripes. Just before we kind of get into the chat on this game, I might just play you back some Tierna Lynch audio from our post-match interview and get both your reactions. I think there's, because there's been so much talk of Derry City, the players that you've signed, the quality that you signed, the money being spent, there seems to be a pressure from outside the club that Derry City are real contenders and should be maybe favourites to win the league. Is that seeping into the squad? Does that bring a pressure to them, do you think?
I don't know how anybody knows what money's being spent, or is that just speculation at this stage?
It probably is.
Yeah, I don't know that. So we don't make any bones about we want to be challenging. We feel we have a squad to challenge. That's not something that we're going to shy away from or try and deny or push under the table. That's where we want to be. That's where this club needs to be. And our job's to try and get it there. As I say, and I will say, we've just brought, I think, 11 new players into the squad. So that's more than half a squad. That's all new. We're probably, as I say, there's a little bit of imbalance in our team at the moment with the right side, and there's also trying to probably find that starting 11 and that formation that suits the players that we've brought in. So this is a work in progress for us. There's no panic buttons being pushed.
And just finally on James McClean, is central midfield going to be his position for the season? Is that where you see him, and are you confident that he has all of the abilities needed to play in that position?
I hope so. I think it's definitely a position that will suit James with the qualities that he has, and he's nice as you get older, his experience and his know-how, and in the middle of the park with the players that we have around him. So yeah, I think it's something that James will only get better at the longer he does, and he albeit he's been where he's been and he's done what he's done. He's somebody that's very hungry to get better and improve, and he wants to always look at his game and how he can be better the next time he plays.
So that's Tiernan Lynch speaking after that defeat to Bohemians as we look ahead to their game against Waterford. Gareth, there's a couple of things in that, but I think from the first section, the things that stood out to me really are, you know, we're kind of looking for the best 11, best formation for them. There seems to be a lot of, you know, uncertainties around this team, and like 3 matches in, that's not really what you want to be hearing from the manager of the team, is it? Or am I being a bit too harsh?
No, I think listen, it's all subjective. I mean, when you bring over 3 transfer windows, 25, and I'll say that for the people down the back, 25 new players into the football club over 3 transfer windows, you're going to have a bedding in period. 11 on the last transfer window. Now, the problem is that imbalance has been created by the reactive recruitment strategy and not being proactive. So that's been created by the club, by Tiernan, and I feel for Tiernan as well, because the support from me is not available outside of the manager, and he's left to do everything. But this is what he's created. The imbalance is there. Obviously, Cotter will help that now on the right-hand side.
Yeah, Barry Cotter they've signed for the right-back slot.
Yeah, so Barry Cotter signed now from Barnsley, on loan at Notts County last year, hasn't played since before December last year. So I would imagine he's been training all week. I would imagine he's going to go straight in, but there's still a problem there on the right-hand side. Marky's not a right midfielder, so he needs to get a right midfielder on the pitch. Does that mean moving Michael Duffy over to the right and putting James McClean high on the left and putting somebody else in the centre midfield? It doesn't sound like he's going to do that. By that interview, he wants James to play in the centre of midfield. So there is an imbalance. There is a lack of continuity. You saw it yourself on Friday night, Steve-O. They just they have not gelled. So it's up to the manager to do exactly what Bohs did at the weekend. Pick your players to play in the position and let them play.
So you've sympathy for him because he's now director of football. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
First world problem when you can bring in who you want, Gareth.
Money doesn't solve anything, Vinny. Money doesn't guarantee you winning the league. If you're dealing with when Bohs, Shamrock Rovers and Pats have 9 full-time staff outside of the manager and the management team, they are supporting the manager in everything that he does. You should know that. When Tiernan Lynch comes into the club and is given a bag of money and is reactive with all the signings, he's saying, Jesus, Marky's available, I'll sign him. Jesus, there's James Clark, I'll sign him too. There's James McClean, let's sign him. There's Barry Cotter, let's sign him. It's all reactive. It's not proactive. It's scatterbrain recruitment.
So whose fault is it that they've started the season with no right back and right winger?
The club.
Okay. I just find that bizarre, Gareth.
Which part of it?
That the manager hasn't, don't sign somebody and say, I'm not signing, I won't mention a name, I'm not signing a 6 until I get, or I'm not signing another left back until I get a right foot or right winger. We haven't reinvented. I am in favour of director footballs. The game is getting too big for managers now with what's going on and all of that stuff. So I'm in favour of that. But in the last couple of years, we haven't reinvented a game that manager can put together a 1 to 11, Gareth. So he has to take responsibility for what he signed.
I said the club have got to take responsibility. Absolutely. But again, the Barry Cotter thing, I mean, he put himself in this position. He signed Barry Cotter now. Has the due diligence been done on Barry Cotter? Does he know what he's getting? This is the problem that I have. And this has been shown, not just Barry, not just James Clark, all these players. It seems like it's a very reactive recruitment strategy that has not worked. And by the way, it didn't work in the first window, it didn't work in the second window, and it looks as if it hasn't worked in the third window. So what's going to happen now in the fourth window when it comes up that the manager's going to do? He either needs to get somebody to help him, because it's pretty evident he's not spending his money wisely.
Well, they were second, just 3 points behind Rovers at the end of last season. I know they didn't, put a big challenge in towards the end, but it's not a huge amount of ground to make up for Derry City.
You've restructured your whole team. You've decided that team that was 3 points behind isn't good enough anymore for different reasons, or some players left. So you've decided that team wasn't good enough.
Like Vinny, I don't know. I saw James McClean towards the end. Like, there was a couple of times he got caught for pace with Dawson Devoy in the middle of the field. But right at the end of the game, they're pushing for a goal and he's down at the edge of his own box and he got pickpocketed twice just because he didn't have that kind of centre mid awareness. And you're kind of thinking, like, is going from Diallo in central midfield to James McClean in midfield actually a downgrade?
Look, the easiest thing to do is...
I'm not sorry. That's not me having a pop at James McClean. That's me saying that he's in the wrong position, that he should be playing on the left because he'd give you so much more.
Well, it's easy for me to say, for argument's sake, slag off James now for a bit of clickbait, or go the other way and say he's brilliant. It's not... The point is not about James McClean. It's about a manager picking the right players, the right squad, the right team, and he's in control of that now. I take Gareth's point about director of football will help him, but he's put that squad together. And I make the point again, do you need James McClean? Or do you say, no, I don't need him at the moment? Yes, he'd be amazing to have in the squad. Until I sort out my right back position, my right wing position, my right sided centre half position, that's not the most important one for today.
Well, do you know something though, Vinny, as well? I would argue that if your Derry City and James McClean becomes available and he's coming back to play for his home, you have to sign him. Like that's a no-brainer.
No, you don't have to sign him. I'm sorry. You've got Fleming and Michael Duffy. There's a reason James isn't playing.
Well, play him as a left back then. Maybe they didn't need Fleming and have him and Fleming.
He was there. So there's a reason why James is not playing left back or left wing. Because they feel, not because he's better midfielder than anybody else they had in the club, because they feel Fleming and Duffy is obviously more of a threat. And so then Gareth suggesting, but by moving Michael to the right allows you to fit in James. What do you lose by moving Michael to the right? So James wasn't the most important signing for them. And everything, I take the point when a fella like that comes past your door, grand, but they've made mistakes as a club, if you want to say, in the recruitment, and it's coming back to bite them in the ass. They may still turn all this around, get the right players in the pitch, all of them things, but they've made mistakes, and it's like kids in a candy shop. James McClean available, I'll get him. Structure your team first. Icing on the cake is grand. You look at the recruitment of Shamrock Rovers. If the young lad we just spoke about, Brennan, doesn't work out, grand, it's okay. We've Trevor Clark there. If Matthews or Enda Stevens doesn't work out, it's okay. We've got Lopez, we've got Grace, we've got Cleary. Derry weren't in that position. They ripped up the script. They decided last year 3 points behind Rovers. They weren't good enough. They've thrown out that team effectively and rebuilt a new one. And they haven't rebuilt it properly, it feels like. So the manager, first of all, has to take the criticism for that, because that's his role at the moment until someone else is appointed to help him with the recruitment.
Yeah, look, we don't have much more time to spend on this one. Like, and I do take your points of view, and I think well made as well. Gareth, like, they're playing Waterford, a side that they beat the last time at the Brandywell by 7-2, an absolutely mad game altogether. Like, they'd be expected to win this one as well. And when you kind of think of, like, even listening back to that the audio from Friday night and the boos from the stands when the game blew up, like, Tiernan really has to get a win this time. This is win or nothing on the crowds. I think I'd say from the crowd, like, you know.
Yeah, listen, the expectations through the roof. I mean, there's no question about it. And bringing all those quality players that I mentioned, and they are all quality players, but getting them into a functioning team that's working really well and they're building up partnerships is not easy. Vinny will tell you that. You can have the best team, but that money can buy. It's not always the option. So there's going to be a bit of pressure on Friday night. Waterford haven't started the season great. By all accounts, they were much better on Friday night. But it's not going to be an easy game. We saw that with Dundalk came up to the Brandywell and they were excellent. They really put it up to Derry, and Derry just hadn't got the answers. So they're going to be the same on Friday night. Like, this idea that because of all these players that they're going to go on 1-2 or 3-0 or 7-2 like the last time, Steve-O, that's not going to happen, I don't think. I think this is going to be another tough game that Tiernan Lynch is going to have to get over the line. And I think he's got to start by putting players in the right positions. Once he does that, I think you'll see a better Derry who are more threatening, because defensively they don't look as bad. And I have to say as well, before I get off Derry, they were really poor against Sligo. They weren't bowed off. They were a little bit better against Dundalk, and they actually weren't that bad against Bohs. Bohs were just far superior. So it's not all doom and gloom. There's just certain gaps in the squad and certain players playing out of position that needs to be fixed. So, listen, they need to start games right as well, Steve-O. They need to start putting teams under pressure. They've got an athletic team. They've got Cotter now on the right. They've got James and Winchester in the middle. These guys can get up and down the pitch, right? They've got to start creating chaos. They're trying to play through midfield as if Diallo and Devoy are there. They haven't got the players to do that. They've got to get nice and tight, get up the pitch, possibly play Depot and Thomas, and create some chaos and get some goals, because the way they're trying to play with the players they've got doesn't seem to be working.
It's a great opportunity for Waterford, Vinny. Like, they've got athleticism, they've got pace in their team. Lonergan, Conan Noonan, Glenfield was in central midfield the other night. Like, they haven't got a win just yet, but going from the kind of gooey pitches that they've been playing on at the RSC and at Sullivan Alam Park, going up to the AstroTurf might work out well for John Daly's kind of passing football.
Yeah, I think they've got to play on the nervousness of Derry as well. Like, I've used that term, League of Ireland players like John Mann has done, Hayden Cann, good players, Noonan, Glenfield, as you say, Pádraig Amon, Tommy Lumley, going right down the middle of the pitch. Goalkeeper's done well for them at different stages. Luke Heaney seems to be playing as a fullback now. They've got some good players, so they've got to play in the nervousness of Derry. Derry will feel a little bit of pressure in this game. So the longer Waterford keep a 0-0, then, because they haven't started games well. That's been their biggest sort of Achilles heel, starting the game well. So the message will be, keep a clean sheet for as long as you can, stay in the game as long as you can, and let the noise around Derry build. And that will be the sort of tactics from Daly, I would imagine. Yeah,
the other big game, well, there's a few more big games we're going to look at, but the Connacht Derby. There are pedants out there who would not have us call it the Connacht Derby, but Galway United against Sligo Rovers as well. And my word, what a signing Galway United made on the day of the transfer deadline. France Pyro. Like, there was rumours going around he was going to go to one of the big Dublin clubs. It never happened. People kind of forgot about him. And all of a sudden, Galway United put up this graphic on Monday. France Pyro has signed for Galway United. It's incredible, Gareth. What a player to get at the last minute.
Unbelievable, I have to say. And we know how Galway are going to play. They're going to keep loads of clean sheets. It's Franz Pyro, which he's got the talent to do it. He's got the ability to do it. Goes and gets him 7 or 8 goals between now and the end of the season. That's probably been a bit unjust to him. He could get way more. Then that's going to turn into a lot of points. What a signing. John Caulfield. I don't know what happened with the other clubs, but listen, Galway will be delighted to have him. What a player he'll be for them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it's 30 goals, Vinny, in over 60 Premier and First Division games. 62, I think it is.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant sign, and it's what it will do is, the players aren't stupid. They've heard the noise. A lot of people have feared for them this year, and all of a sudden you bring someone in like that, it will build a huge amount of confidence in the dressing room. I seen John actually the other night up in Tallaght. He travelled up. He's like, everything John does is work right. I think that's a huge sign for them, and badly needed, a confidence point of view.
And it's not like it's going to lift Eamon Deasy Park on Friday night. That place is going to be rocking in anticipation, seeing Pyro playing for them. And going up against a Sligo Rovers team whose defence has looked a bit like, this isn't the striker you want to be facing. I'm not sure if he starts or he comes off the bench, Vinny, but this isn't ideal for Sligo Rovers either, is it?
No, I've had a bit of a fear for them this season. I just feel other teams have done a little bit better on recruitment. Now, you underestimate Sligo and John Russell at your peril, but I just feel defensively, Blaney has come in. I know they got Sua in. Looks at, like, we know they've got a half-decent amount of players in there. Mickelson, Fitzgerald, Ryan O'Kane. That's not bad. 3 sort of supporting the striker. But I worry for Sligo a little bit this year, and feels like they were very good in the first game, and then they got the hammering at Bohs, and it just feels like it's interesting. It's early in the season, but the next couple of weeks is important for both of these teams, and picking up 3 points just gives you that bit of breathing space. And when you're only on a point or 2 points, just the nervousness kicks in around the dressing room. So it's a huge game for both teams. Sligo will be happy enough going to the Waterford and getting the point. Got away with the penalty miss from Almond, but it feels like they need a big performance over the next couple of weeks just to get their season kick-started.
Yeah, like it was a real case, I suppose, going down to the RSE for Sligo Rovers after the defeat to Bohemians, Gareth, just to kind of, let's keep it tight here. We'll try and keep a clean sheet. Anything better than that then will be a bonus. Would you say that was the case, and will it be the case again this Friday?
Absolutely. I think they're going to have to play better this Friday than they did last Friday. By all accounts, Waterford were very good. Not much in the first half, but the second half they were far superior and obviously missed a penalty. But I think Sligo will need to play a little bit better. They're definitely, it's going to be a different type of game. So it's going to be more physical. They're going to be put on a lot more pressure. So physically, they're going to have to get McHugh coming on near the first minute as well. I think he's going to be an important player with his experience. I would like to see him start now on Friday. Don't know how fit he is. We obviously have Blaney and McElroy going in and out. So they haven't got that solid back four, goalkeeper, and maybe one or two in front of that. They've been kind of chopping and changing a wee bit. So a bit like Derry, they need to get their team now and their base that they're going to go and get points from. So it's going to be a massive game for both clubs. But I think this is a bigger game for Galway to try and go and push and maybe get the 3 points than it is Sligo. Listen, John Russell will take a 0-0 or a 1-1 all day this Friday, I think, just to kind of just start building it nice and steadily. Yeah,
I think Asua went off with a knock late on possibly, but hopefully he'll be okay for the game as well. I think as well with Sligo Rovers, with the couple of players that he's signed, especially the likes of Archie Meeks, and we won't see the work that John Russell does with these players until maybe later in the season. And that's sometimes, I think, why Sligo make these kind of, slow starts and eventually will start to come good as the season goes on. So I just hope Sligo Rovers supporters don't get too despondent. And as well, the return of James McManus, he's gone back on loan from Bohemians, Vinny. I think he's going to help them big time.
Yeah, he is, and in that sort of key area in the middle of the pitch where I think they could do with a hand in there. So, and he's done well for them at different stages. As I said, in the forward areas, I don't think it's Sligo problem, but they tend to bring in a couple of gems at different stages. Or a couple of younger players step up. They need at the moment, it feels like, particularly as I said earlier on around the back four. But James come back really important for them. They need more players who know how to go down to Galway, Waterford, them places, because they're huge wins for them if they can get them. The other stuff, some of the other stuff is a bonus.
Yeah, super player and a super lad as well, James McManus. Hopefully that one works out for him. Moving on then to Drogheda United at home to Shelbourne. Kevin Doherty welcoming back his old club up to Sullivan and Lamb Park. Vinny, you've spoken in depth about the issues at the Derby last Friday night. Since all that off the ball, I've heard this morning that there were meetings with the League of Ireland, the FAI and ministers. We're told they were very good meetings, that the FAI are going to go back as soon as tomorrow morning with their proposals to address the issues which arose on Friday night with those flares being thrown onto the new pitch at Oriel Park. The Gardaí are involved. They're hoping to get the people who are responsible. Obviously, there was the really concerning issue with the young lad getting hit with the flare and needing medical treatment. So, as I said, Vinny, you've spoken off the ball on Monday. I know your views went out on our social media channels, so people are probably aware of all that. So, Gareth, just maybe get your quick views before we look ahead to the match, and maybe moving on from that, like how this is all affecting Kevin Doherty and his preparation of his team.
Yeah, it's been a difficult 2 or 3 weeks for him, I have to say. But listen, there's nobody stronger in the game than Kevin Doherty to kind of like have a water off a duck's back. The whole the pyrotechnics and flares, it hasn't been sorted. Let's be honest. It's been rumbling on for 3 or 4 years now, and this whole complete ban on it's not working. They have to come up with a solution that suits everyone, that suits the fans that want to do it. I don't know whether you've got an area and a disposal area where you put these these flares. When you throw it and it hits a 12-year-old in the face, I mean, that goes into his eye, that blinds the kid. We saw it in the Brandywell when a young kid lifted it off the ground and ran up half the pitch. If that explodes in his hand, it blows his hand off live on TV. It's an absolute disaster for kids or for parents taking kids to the games. You can't have that threat. So something has to be done for it. We're obviously talking about this. I think what's missing in the whole lot is the crowd was at the match and the quality of the match. I watched the highlights. Some of the football, and everybody thinks the big derby games are just helter-skelter. Some of the football was incredible, really, really good. So that's what we want to be focusing on. So they have to, between the FAA, the clubs, and I mean all the clubs, because this is not just a Drogheda, a Dundalk problem. This is all the clubs have this problem. So they need to get together and put it to bed properly. Yeah,
I agree. And do you know something as well? I think something that's maybe overlooked about this throughout the whole week is that, listen, each of the clubs have their ultras groups and they bring a lot of colour and atmosphere and they're fantastic. And there's a lot of people in those ultras groups who are very responsible. They put in a lot of hard work. They raise money to put on those displays. And it's fantastic what they do. There needs to be a bit of self-policing maybe. You know, maybe some of these lads need to just go, look, fellas, you know, we're putting together these really good displays. It's getting a lot of attention. We get pictures all over the place in the newspapers, on TV, all that kind of stuff. Let's keep it like that. Let's not, you know, ruin it for ourselves, you know, and just, you know, because I've spoken to these people at games and all, and you'll meet some great fellas at these matches involved in those ultras groups. And they do brilliant work, as I said. And it's good, you know, it's a great community thing as well, because it does get young fellas, it gives them a bit of focus and it gives them something to do throughout the week in the build up to the game. So maybe just a bit of self-policing there would work.
Yeah. Can I just say, Steve, not to repeat myself, I've already had me saying it. So I'll make it really brief, just to say, that's the key to it, self-policing. Yes, the minister was out of order. We all know that. He's made a huge error in all of our views. But your anger shouldn't be aimed at him. Look in the mirror, lads. We're allowing this happen. Gareth's right, by the way. There's parts of Scandinavia that allow safe zones for this displays. It's something we should have looked at, because what's happening is not working. But look in the mirror, lads. Make it a safe place. Make it somebody's not scared to bring their kids to a game. When we get to that stage in League of Ireland, that's when the decline will start. Trust me. What's the growth is coming from young kids coming to our game, parents bringing kids to the game, whether it's Tallaght Stadium, whether Daily Mount, wherever it is, that's where the growth in the game is coming from. The day you make it, people having second thoughts. Fella from Norney asked me yesterday, is it safe to bring me child to Rovers and Derry this week? I said 100% is safe, yes. But he thought about it and he asked me that. It's his first time his son wants to go to a League One game. A guy asked me, Johnny will know who I'm talking about, he listens all the time. He asked me, would it be safe to go to that game? We cannot have that in anyone's mindset if we want to continue the growth in our league.
And I tell you what's going to happen, Steve. One or two things is going to happen. There's either going to be a serious incident when someone's going to get hurt, or all the commercial partners that are vital to keep these clubs running are going to start pulling themselves out and saying, I can't be associated with that kind of behaviour and those kind of incidents. So they'll start pulling back, and then the clubs. But I honestly think, and I know they've been getting a lot of jip, the FAI have got to show a bit of leadership here on this and sort it out. Yeah,
and I'm sure they will. Look, the League of Ireland department there is absolutely fantastic. There's good people there running it who understand the fan culture and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure they will. And look, they're very cognizant, I think, of the fact that they need to keep on the good side of the Minister for Sports. That's all fair enough. And look, as I said, just to go back, and I know there are responsible members of these ultras groups, and we don't want to see them going. You know, we want to see them there in some way, putting up tifos, all that kind of stuff. It brings brilliant colour, and it's all part of it. And the grounds themselves, like, I go to games every week and you see people from all different classes, all different backgrounds, all different ages, and it's the great thing about the League of Ireland is just one big, you know, mix of people, and we want to keep it that way. And I just think we need to be, you know, look, what happened on Friday needs to be absolutely condemned. It was wrong. What happened to the pitch was completely out of order. And I'm sure the clubs are going to sort that out between themselves. In fairness, Drogheda and Dundalk came out with statements, a joint statement really quick, and that was good to see. And probably didn't get enough praise, I don't think, from the Minister in that sense.
Steve, didn't get enough praise in all of this.
Yeah.
Didn't get enough praise. People were happy enough to kick Joanna, the chairman, over the last week or two when in their view, she made a mistake. They've been very strong in this, and I think they deserve huge credit as a club for the way they've reacted.
Yeah.
Here.
100%. So the match they play against Shelbourne, like, it's always a great game between these two. I love watching them. I just wanted to shine a little light on Brandon Cavan. I know he's a player that you've mentioned before, Vinny, with this Drogheda United team. He seems to be doing okay so far under Doherty.
Yeah, I think in the confidence they're playing with has helped him. That little bit of freedom he gets. Look, it's been well documented. People have taken it in the wrong way in some sense, and maybe I've made a couple of mistakes around the commentary around Drogheda, but there is an element of the Drogheda where there's a hardness to what you're watching. There's all the time it takes to say set pieces and all of that stuff. It's all been discussed before. But they have got moments of brilliance, and I always reference the two wing-backs in particular. They've now added Mark Doyle into that, who can do magic stuff. Shane Farrell has been there as well. But Brandon Cavan has... What Brandon hasn't done in his career yet is done this consistently. I'd love to see him do it for his sake and for the quality that's inside that player, to do this consistently over a 6, 9, 10 month period over the season. And if we get that from him, you can tell why so many of the top clubs have tried to get the very, very best out of Brandon. I don't think it's to be fair to him, from what I know and what I hear, I don't think it's down to his mentality or being a bad pro or anything like that. It's circumstances. It's all of these little bits. Maybe he's found the best home from. I hope he has, from to show his talent, because he is one of the most gifted players in the league when he's at it. He just doesn't be at it enough and on a consistent level. And I hope this is the start of that for his sake. I just think he's an outstanding footballer. He has all of the little bits and skill that we love.
Yeah, just on Drogheda as well, Gareth, because over the last 2 years, their record against Shells has been really, really good. Just one defeat in the last 2 seasons, those 8 matches. Can we put a finger on that one?
Oh, listen, you'd need to be good to do that. It's impossible. They obviously love the game, and the players, Kevin Doherty, obviously sees it a special game. I don't know what it is, but they always put it up to Shells. But they're just do what they do it really, really well. And I actually like the way they play. I like the way Galway play as well. And they don't get enough credit for getting the ball into certain areas and manipulating the game because of that. You can do it in different ways. Some people like to rotate players. Some people like to overload a certain side of the pitch. But Drogheda and Galway are very good at getting certain players in the certain position in the pitch. Now, might be the long way. It might be the round the corner way. It doesn't matter. They're really good at getting certain players into certain areas of the pitch and then capitalising on that. So they're going to cause Shells problems, as they always do. It's a big game for Shells as well. They haven't been free-flowing. They haven't created loads of chances. A penalty from Harry Wood. And I think the striker...
Mipo.
Yeah, I think he's missing for it, is he?
Yeah, well, he wasn't in the squad last week, and just on that, their XG over the 2 games, 180 minutes, well, they had an XG of 1.46 in the first game and 1.78 last week.
You sold your soul, Steve-O. You've sold your soul quoting XG. Stop, would you?
Vinny, Joe Southern, I never use it in my commentaries, never ever use it. And
no, that's what I said, you sold your soul.
I understand. But it does to it, like Keith Tracy said, and I think he's right, it just gives you one slight indication into, like, a team is creating good chances, and Shells are obviously creating good chances. They're just not being clinical. And I suppose it just backs up what you've seen with your own eyes over the last while. It's just that lack of, clinicism in front of goal.
So if you look at someone like Rovers last couple of years, you'd have moments with Gaffney and different bits and pieces, but their goals came from everywhere. Okay, Shells have that potential with Wood, with Jarvis coming in. They have got that potential. The problem for me for Shells is this is the compound effect, a book I'm reading at the moment. But anyway, compound effect. Set pieces. They've only really got Paddy Barrett where you look like, they've got a threat. Maybe the lad he brought up from Niffle.
Casey.
The centre half. Maybe him. But they're not a threat from set pieces. So then you might need in our league, as Rovers have proven somebody to get 10, 15, 20 goals, but they have to come from other places. Wood, Jarvis, and people like that. Henry Francis. Are you going to get enough on the pitch? Don't know. And that's the problem. But they do have a striker problem. I'm not shying away from that. In terms of Mebo has the potential to score lots of goals and go on a streaky run, but he's got to do a little bit more now in the box. I've been really light on him for a while because I love the kid. I think the world of him. Now I want to see him going. Like the last time I seen him live was 2 games ago. I wanted to shout at him and say, get across the front post. Doesn't do them little stuff. Get your head on the ball. Show a little bit more aggression, for want of a better word, in the box. So I know he's injured at the moment, or he was out of the squad today, but there's a little bit like that. Or what's the story with Boydie? Get him on the pitch if he's fit and let him go, and let's see the best of him. So they need goals from all around the pitch. And as I said, but the strikers is ultimately their main issue at the moment. And I hate to say this, but the XG backs it up.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and look, listen, they've signed Freitas. Seems to be a lot of they obviously believe this guy has potential. It's going to take him maybe a few games to just, like, not every signing you make in the close season, Gareth, is going to get off to a great start. Like, obviously, Odrin Casey has got off to a great start. You know, bringing back someone like Jarvis, obviously he's going to settle in. Lundgren looks pretty decent as well from his early performances. So, you know, you've had 2 out of 3 there. Freitas might take a bit longer to settle in. So I don't think there's any reason to be, you know, as a Shelbourne fan, to be concerned. But I think the longer they go without that win, the more frustrating it's going to be for Joey O'Brien.
Yeah, and they're still trying to figure out the balance, and with Will Jarvis on the left, and I don't know what's wrong with Norris. Is he injured again? But he was perfect left wing back. He's very aggressive, but it's kind of like Derry a little bit. The only thing you'll say is there hasn't been that much change with Shelbourne, and they've brought players back like Will Jarvis, who they know. So once they get it right, John Martin started really well, scored a few goals. Once they get it right, I don't think anybody will be disappointed. It's just going to take a little bit of time for people to bet in. I think they've got a massive problem now with both Casey and Barrett being injured at centre half. That's going to be huge. We saw them bringing a defensive player back from Athlone on loan, and then signing somebody in the window. Minute, I've got his name here. Shells. So it's going to be very difficult to get that solidity. The defence now having to change 2 out of the 3. So they've got problems at the back. They can't score goals. There's a bit of work to be done from the manager. Yeah,
it's going to be another interesting game to look ahead to. Saints against Dundalk. And speaking of concern, Vinny, I think there's got to be a bit of concern for fans of St. Patrick's Athletic going into this game after what they've seen so far, and coming up against the Dundalk side that showed they can go to a Dublin team and put it up to them like last Monday night.
Yeah, this is a huge game for Pats, it feels like. I think there's a little bit of pressure around it. I have to be honest with you. There's a lot of chopping and changing, a lot of injuries. There, you know, Palmer coming back, Elbazetti coming off the bench, Forrester coming off the bench, and Glory coming off the bench says there's strength and depth in that squad. I think they've had 2 difficult away games. Bohs, obviously, in the Viva, where they weren't good. Rovers, where they had a couple of good moments, to be fair to them, weren't good, ultimately well beaten out the gap. So it feels like Pats need a big win against Dundalk, because I think if they don't win, the noise and the pressure gets a little bit louder. Like, Richmond is a really good place for backing you for a long time, but when they lose faith with you, they lose it badly. So I have a little bit of fear for them at the moment. Still feels like Stephen is searching for his best team, and some of that's down to injuries and different bits and pieces. But they're obviously, you know, Mata is injured. They're missing the 2 strikers at the moment. Levy hasn't hit the heights just yet. Nugent's been in and out of the team. That is a difficult game for Pats. I probably do fancy he's going to win. I don't know why, but they've got to get 3 points on the board, it feels like, quickly, because the locals will lose patience a little bit unless they get going.
Yeah.
What a week, Steve-O, for Pats. 2 home games. I mean, they've got to be looking. They've got to be looking at 4 and 6 points, especially against the 2 teams they're going to be playing.
Yeah, and if they pick up, by the way, Gareth, then it's been an okay start to the season. That's football, and that's where managers are getting a little bit of respite in this league, because you can always win 2 or 3 games in a row, and all of a sudden you're just nearly in the European spots, you know, where they're sitting on 1 point and technically bottom of the league or thereabouts. So they need a big week. Pats need a big week. It's huge for them.
Yeah, we'll come back to Pats because there's an interesting email from one of our emailers for the Ask the Expert slot. Just to finish on Dundalk, like Kieran Kilduff, Gareth did seem kind of annoyed after putting in the good performance they put in so far that they still haven't got that win. You'd imagine that's something he's going to be driving home to his players ahead of this game as well.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, they should have had it in the Brandywell. I was there. Derry scored with the last kick of the game. They were very, very, very good. They then go away to Tala. So they've gone away to Tala and away to Brandywell and got 2 points. I know he's looking for the first one. Home to Drogheda would have been the perfect time. You could see him before the game, out getting the crowd up, the atmosphere there. Listen, I don't think Kieran Kilduff and Dundalk have got any worries about any sort of going down automatically. I think they're that strong. And I have to say, Arubi looks a very, very good player. He came on in the Brandywell and scored to make it 2-1. His athleticism, his directness, and his ability to run off the last man was really good. And we saw it again on Monday night and again against Drogs. So he's one to watch. Mullen has got 2 goals in 4 days. Danny Mullen, again, he will get goals. Having watched him for the last couple of seasons in Derry, no matter what, how they're doing, how bad the game is, he will always get chances. He's that type of streaky player. So I don't think Kilduff has got much to worry about.
Yeah, and I remember it was the season before last, Owen Kenny scored at Inchicore, and his dad said he wasn't going to get any dinner when he went home. So I think if Owen Kenny wants his dinner on Friday night, you'll have to make sure he doesn't score against St. Pat's. I only jest. The other thing as well, I'm just glad this new Wolf Tones jersey. Have you seen the new Wolf Tones jersey? St. Patrick's Day.
It is class,
it's a lovely shirt. I have to say. I'm just glad it didn't come out before Patrick O'Donovan was being asked about League of Ireland affairs. I wouldn't say he'd be too happy seeing that Wolf Tones St. Pat's jersey.
Yeah. I wonder, with your Bohs hat on, are you a little bit jealous of them, Steve-O? That's all I'm asking.
Well, listen, what do they say is the biggest form of... What?
Yeah, go on, I'll let you say.
Go on now, go on.
Form of something. Anyway.
Have they say, Steve-O, I like the Bohs jersey, the kneecap one, and they were in the Brandywell.
I thought it was a lovely jersey, but you know what the problem is, Gareth? Can't see the bloody numbers on the back.
The numbers, yeah, it's a problem with them all. You can't see it until they play in Europe. You can't see anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, lads. Well, that's the matches taken care of. So let's just quickly turn to our Ask the Expert slot. So thanks a million to Paul Dugan and Daniel Shields for emailing us this week. So I might put the first one to Gareth. Paul Dugan, Gareth says, St. Pat's feel lifeless this season. Can they afford to sack Kenny though?
No, I mean, we're talking about the Derry struggles. We're talking about Shells. It's far too early. I mean, I don't like seeing managers lose their job. We obviously like to say what we see, but I don't think there's any need for that kind of talk this early on. I actually like what Stephen's done this year. He stripped it right back, got rid of a few players. And as Vinny said, I think he's more comfortable dealing with a small set of players. I don't see any sort of pressure of that nature now. Come next week, if they lose these 2 games, which I doubt they will, I might be saying something different, but I don't see that sort of pressure coming.
James Brown as well, Gareth. Really good sign.
Great signing, absolutely. Just quickly, Gareth, to add on to that one from Paul Dugan, he also says, what were Derry thinking getting rid of Sam Todd?
Don't talk to me. Sam Todd, boys.
It's a fair question.
There's a whole heap of them. Listen, he shouldn't have been let go. Ronan Boyce will be playing every week now. I mean, he's been badly missed.
Paul Dugan, thanks a million for your questions. And Vinny, oh no, actually, he said, I can't believe I made a mess of this. Daniel Shields, just have a quick question for Gareth. Well, so I might throw to Vinny first. After the President's Cup, Gareth stated, it's pretty clear from the President's Cup on the end of last season how Tiernan Lynch likes to play his style of football. Would he stand by that claim? Well, no, I do have to put it to Gareth. I should have read this really first before I went on air. Would you stand by that claim?
Let me answer.
Go on with the answer.
When he said that, I pulled him up and goes, how is it clear? Are you winding me up? It's clear. It hasn't been clear. And we
I'm like a broken record. Tiernan Lynch wants to play 3 at the back. It's as simple as that. Once he's been coaching it for the last 7 years. Once he gets that, when he gets a few injuries, suspensions, we'll see a more solid, better team.
Yeah. Well, listen, I should have, sorry, Daniel Shields, I did make a mess and I should have put this one to Gareth, but Daniel adds, I thought it was a mad shout and was glad Vinny questioned it at the time. Nearly as mad a shout as Dundalk finishing bottom. Love the pod, lads. So thanks, Daniel Shields, for that email and for making Vinny look very smug as we close out today's podcast. It's been brilliant.
Steve, before you close, can I reference one thing?
Yeah.
I'm just going into, I was at a funeral today. I suppose the easiest way to explain it is Dick Dunn played with Shamrock Rovers. He's obviously Richard's father, who people now would know, but Dick was a huge influence on my career, brought me to so many games and different things and made me want to be involved in football. But that aside, you think about maybe Rovers sing about how many league titles they won, whether it's 21 or whatever it is now, 20 odd. But Dick was part of I think it was 58, 59 team. I seen that medal this morning placed on his coffin. So the Dunn family, like if you think of Theo Dunn and what they've done for Irish football over the years, you think of even Tommy Dunn and even now Theo Dunn's grandkids still winning titles with Shelbourne at the moment. So the Dunn family are still right in the middle of Irish football for many generations, maybe under different names now, the Caffrey name, for example. But so many legends I seen there this morning, and just to reference it, obviously Dick won a league with Shamrock Rovers, but the Dunn family are a huge part of Irish football. So it's a sad day. He did have a great innings of 86 years, but it's still a sad day for the Dunn family and me personally. So I just think it's worth pointing out when the greats go, it's good to reference them.
Yeah, certainly is, Vinny, and I know how close he was to you and how much he meant to you. So, listen, thanks a million to you for coming on with us still on the podcast this week, and it's a lovely tribute to Dick Dunn. Condolences to all of his family and to Richard as well, because I know I spoke to Brian Kerr about him on Sunday when we were over in London, and how highly he regards him as well. So condolences to all the Dunn family. I think it's a lovely way to close the show in tribute to him, Vinny, this week. So look, don't forget to check in with LOI Late Night on Friday night after all the games finish up. That's from 10 o'clock at Ben Symes with Shane Keegan. That's on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. You're more than welcome just to listen in or chat to the lads about what's going on at your club after all the games on Friday night. We'll be back with you next Wednesday, but don't forget, tune in to Off the Ball from 7 o'clock this Friday night for the Dublin Derby, Bohemians versus Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, man.
The LOI Pod on Off the Ball. Catch live and exclusive national radio commentary of the Men's League of Ireland Premier Division on Off the Ball all season.